Just again, it's part of a family plan. It's simple stuff. Take a few minutes. We had some scares last year with the virus, not being able to leave the homes, and it was an interesting time for some people.
It was, and you remember when in 08, 09, whatever that was, when the banks crashed, and some of the banks you couldn't get money because it wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, I mean it was. And history tends to repeat itself. Things are going to go wrong. Companies are going to go out of business. There's going to be natural disasters. There'll be more viruses.
Sure.
Right? We know that. There'll be potential wars, potential terrorist attacks. Who knows?
Right.
Potential nuclear leaks. We take our time and do our financial planning and get our houses in order, our financial houses. A lot of people forget about what I've talked about this show.
Welcome to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Anchored in family values, Wayne offers practical advice to help you get the most out of your retirement years. For more information, visit todaysretirees.com. Now, here's your host.
And welcome to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Today's program, we are going to be talking about cash. Now, I heard someone the other day on television talking about cash, Wayne. And they said that they believed that in the future, the cash that we have on hand would be worth about 40 cents for every dollar. Have you heard that?
Oh, for 20 years I've heard that. Plus, yeah, hasn't happened.
So, I like Wayne's answer.
Well, I mean, anything could happen.
Right.
We just had a virus shut down the country for
and no one
months.
knew. Yeah, right. And they're getting ready to do it again, right? No, that's another story. That's another.
Yeah, let's hope not.
No. So why is cash king?
Well, that's the old phrase, isn't it?
Well, when you go to buy something and you pull out, like years ago, you and I you're a little younger than I am, but, years ago you'd go when you bought that first hoopty car, and Dad said, make sure you take a wad of cash so when you start peeling off those dead presidents, they'll say, well, you can look at it. You remember those stories?
Yeah, anymore it doesn't, like if you're going to buy a car, it's the opposite. It's, the dealer makes money, if you finance.
Right.
So they'd rather, but not that you get a better deal if you pay cash. But we're really not talking about that cash, though.
Okay.
I'm not talking about cash transactions. We've talked over the past shows, people asking about Bitcoin and buying a stock or, buying gold to keep at home. And so the cash, at least a little bit of time I'd like to talk about today is the cash that we keep at home. Okay. So most of my clients will have cash at home, right?
Okay.
And a lot of folks do. And people do it for different reasons, and they've been doing it for years. I mean, you've heard about the people that, tore down the house or remodeled the house and there was cash in the walls. Or,
Sure.
Grandpa passed and they found a little envelope with cash in there. So it's just kind of human nature to hoard some cash. But we learned last year that having some cash at home or on hand was a good thing when the banks were closed, or the tellers were empty, the teller machines, or when people didn't want to touch them because they didn't want to get a virus from the machines.
Sure.
Okay, if they were working at all. So,
right.
There wasn't, some period of time last year where if folks needed cash, they at least had some on hand at home. If they didn't, they were going to have a hard time at times, depending where you lived, getting cash. So it's good to have on hand. Texas experienced a little issue over the winter with the power grid going down.
Sure, when that storm, right.
and I'm sure some of those people used some cash, if they had any, at that time to do whatever with, buy gas from a stranger or neighbor or water or a heater or propane or kerosene, whatever.
Sure.
So, cash, there's things that people are talking about now with additional grid failures, power grid failures. But if you think about it, and I've been talking this a long time, especially in this area, I've been talking about, say we have a nuclear power leak at the power plant, and we got to go, right? What are we supposed to do if we get a warning that there's been an issue at the power plant?
I don't know. He asked the wrong person. I assume they're going to evacuate us somewhere.
Well,
or hunker into your basement until
no, you don't want to do that. Yeah, from what I've heard anyway, and if I'm wrong, someone reach out to me at some point, is you want to get as far away as quick as possible.
Okay.
And you want to go in the direction opposite the wind, away from.
Okay.
You don't want the wind to blow things
toward
at
you. Sure.
So if we get an event like that, and we're on the road, and there's a evacuation warning, banks are not going to be open.
Sure.
You're not going to be able to go to Kroger and cash a check. Right? So if you need cash and you need to get in your car, grab your ditch bag and go, you got to be able to have the cash available.
Sure, that makes sense.
So I always recommend clients, for whatever reason, to keep cash on hand. People get so used to online stuff and their credit cards. Well, I don't use cash anyway. I use my credit card. Well, that's assuming you have a cell phone signal or a satellite signal. If something happens to cell towers, or there's a ransomware with one of the cell phone companies and they shut them down, I mean, you ain't going to have a phone.
Right.
Or a satellite or whatever. Some people talk about some electromagnetic pulse, EMP, and that could happen from the sun or whatever.
Right.
So if events like that happen, there could be a natural disaster, tornadoes, whatever, where we need cash. So I do recommend people keep some cash at home, and where we'll talk about right after this next segment.
Okay, because
we're going to keep cash, right?
in my brain, I'm thinking of a gentleman who's passed on now, but he told me this before he passed away. He said, after I pass away, he said, you make sure my wife knows this, because he had went into somewhere at his house and welded. He was a welder and welded this box together, and there was several tens of thousands of dollars in cash that his widow didn't know anything about.
Yeah. Did you ever tell her?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
No. But, yeah, he had...
you just got your torch and went, right?
No. I did tell her about it, and he had told her as well, but I said, he wanted me to make sure you knew this. I didn't know where or anything like that. I just knew it was somewhere in the house.
Yeah, that's not really a ditch bag or grab and go thing.
No, it's not. It's not. But friends, when you, as we put this show together, take the time and go to Wayne's website, todaysretirees.com, todaysretirees.com, and make an appointment. Sit down and talk to Wayne. Make sure your plan is right and make sure it works for your family at 866-626-3990.
So we've all heard the word rollover when referring to an investment account at work, or your 401k, your 403b, your 457 plan. What do you do with that when you've left your job and your 401k or other retirement plan is still at your old employer? Or what if you've retired? And one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to leave your money, your retirement account, in your employer's 401k. Quite frankly, your old employer or current employer is the boss of your retirement account. So if you have questions about what to do with your rollover, you roll it to Wayne. Get it in your own hands, where you have the whole universe of investments and choices, not just what your employer tells you can pick from. So contact my office for a free consultation on how to roll over your old retirement account.
Welcome back to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. We are talking about cash today. And in our first segment, you'll have to go back and look at that. Some of the reasons why you want to have cash on hand. And when we left, Wayne, you were saying that where to put this cash in your house. And I told a little story about the gentleman I knew that had welded this box together and put cash in it. Most people, I would think, have, like you said, Grandpa passes away and you find envelopes here and there with cash.
Yeah, or mattress,
Yeah, is that when you say where, is this what we're talking about? Or you go out in the backyard and dig a hole and put it in a coffee can?
So just like we talked about why you might need it, a natural disaster was one of the things.
Sure.
So if you keep cash in wherever, an envelope or shoebox or whatever, I had a lady over the last couple of weeks had a lot of money literally in shoeboxes still. I was
Wow.
like, no.
The fire comes along and it's all
fire,
gone. Yeah.
right? Or tornado.
Sure.
Her neighbors will love her, There'll be hundreds all over floating through the air. So ideally you want it in a safe, and ideally you want the safe to be bolted to the floor or bolted to the wall. Most safes, when the doors open, there's mounting holes either in the base or in the back of them. So you can screw some screws in or, bolt it to the floor. Say it's in a concrete floor in your basement or garage or something. And a lot of times people will have it in their safe or gun safe. And I always ask them if it's bolted to the floor. Like one of my questionnaires is I ask people if they have an umbrella liability policy, right? We don't do liability insurance or property and casualty, but it's just as part of the planning process. It's something to consider. So we ask them if they have money in cash, is it in a safe, right? Then the next question is it bolted to the ground, say to the cement floor, to the back of the wall or wherever they have it mounted? And they're like, well, this thing's heavy, that doesn't need to be bolted. I'm like, well, how'd it get there?
Sure, somebody wheeled it in.
Yeah, if somebody wheeled it in, somebody could wheel it out.
Right.
And, to me, that just, yes, it was very heavy. You couldn't get it out. A burglar, maybe two, couldn't get it out. But if they had a dolly and a strap or a fridge dolly, or 3-4 guys knew there was, $50,000 in there because your niece told them, or nephew or grandkid said, Grandpa's got $50,000 in here. Now the kid's in high school and, tells his hoodlum buddy that Grandpa's got $50,000 in there.
Sure.
They'll go get a group if they're bad people, and they'll go get it. They'll figure it out. So bolt it down and make it harder for whoever. And then you don't have to worry about a flood. You don't have to worry about tornado taking it away. You don't have to worry about a fire, whatever.
Sure. Well, that's very good sense. But one of the things that you just mentioned is you probably want to keep the content or the psalm that is in there pretty much tight-lipped with yourself or some immediate family members.
Yeah, I mean,
the wrong person hears about it.
Exactly. It goes with anything. Even if you have a gun, you don't want the whole world or your family or, younger kids or grandkids knowing Grandpa's got a, AR-15 in the closet or whatever else. Yeah, all that's common sense. But, but just, if you're going to have cash at home, keep it secure in a safe. Go through the extra few minutes and bolt it to the floor or the wall, and then you're good to go.
Sure.
They even have, little gun safes. You just put your hand on it, your handprint, and it opens up.
Sure.
Even that you could, screw to whatever, and just so some thief can't come or some tornado can't blow it away. Remember the tornado on Bogart Road, 25 years ago or whatever? That was, houses were leveled, debris everywhere.
Right.
Your shoebox full of cash would have been gone.
Right.
And I'm sure there was for a lot of those people.
Yeah, for some, absolutely. Yeah. Right. Well, I experienced a tornado myself 4 or 5 years ago, and it just decimated my garage.
Okay.
Blew the garage door down.
Uh-huh.
And then everything in there was just blown.
Was that the one south of here?
Yeah, it was in Bellevue a few years
right,
ago.
right.
Yeah.
A couple of...
So, I mean, and, there's no warning. They just bang, here they are, So it is. Now, when you're talking about that, I mean, again, you're probably going to say it depends, but is there a sum that makes sense?
So then, yeah, I mean, yeah, it depends. This one, it does. It's not my call or my advice, or I don't recommend any amount. I mean, there's no specific.
Sure.
Some people, if they had cash laying around, it'd drive them nuts, worrying about it all the time. So it's a personal number, Sure. I have some clients with a lot of cash, more than you wouldn't even believe that. I'd like to just point another thing out. The cash we're talking about is cash at home. If for the instances I talked about, grid failure, cell tower failure, satellite failure, stores are closed because of a virus again, we can't get cash. Keeping it at the safe deposit box at the bank is not an option. To me, is not the option for the kind of cash we're talking about.
Sure, because you can't get in there either.
You're not going to be able to get in the bank.
Right.
I mean, just even for whatever reason, bank could be closed, could be, who knows,
Right.
And it's not quick access either.
Sure.
You got to wait till the bank's open, even if it is going to be open, and, hope you can get there in time to get the cash and do whatever it is you wanted to do, providing the bank was even open.
Right, sure. So there's that safety of having that cash in your home readily accessible when a disaster or a catastrophe happens, is basically what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, whatever need. I mean, say you get an emergency call from your loved one, and you got to get on the road at 3 a.m. And who knows? You just got to get it and go.
Right.
You just go grab whatever and you go.
Sure.
It's just a good thing to do, I think. The amount would be up to the person.
Sure. Okay. Well, when we get back, we're going to finish this conversation on why cash is king, and some of the common sense approaches for your family and how to deal with that. If you haven't put together a good family plan, Wayne is a good resource to go to. He's a certified financial planner. You can find all kinds of information about him at his website, todaysretirees.com. todaysretirees.com, and you can sit down with him personally and have a conversation, have him look at your plan, have him help you develop a plan if you don't have one, at 866-626-3990. We'll be back right after this.
A certified financial planner is a true professional, a well-rounded, holistic planner that helps you in all areas of your financial life. Estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, insurance planning. We have to sit for a 10-hour, 2-day exam, at least back when I took the test. It's not just a weekend designation where you go somewhere for a couple days, pay a couple $100, and now you have letters behind your name. One thing I think is important is that you try and find an independent certified financial planner, somebody that doesn't work for a big firm. I myself own my company, Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. The buck stops with me, an independent, certified financial planner, one of the only ones on the north coast of Ohio.
Visit todaysretirees.com or call 866-626-3990 to schedule a no-cost appointment with Wayne.
So we've all heard the word rollover when referring to an investment account at work, or your 401k, your 403b, your 457 plan. What do you do with that when you've left your job and your 401k or other retirement plan is still at your old employer? Or what if you've retired? One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to leave your money, your retirement account, in your employer's 401k. Quite frankly, your old employer or current employer is the boss of your retirement account. So if you have questions about what to do with your rollover, you roll it to Wayne. Get it in your own hands, where you have the whole universe of investments and choices, not just what your employer tells you can pick from. So contact my office for a free consultation on how to roll over your old retirement account.
Visit todaysretirees.com or call 866-626-3990 to schedule a no-cost appointment with Wayne.
Welcome back to Today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. You know, today we've been talking about cash and having cash in your home for emergencies, not down at the safe deposit box in the bank or over at grandma's house or wherever, but having a supply of cash that you can readily access because things happen. I mean, it's just the way life is.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, the same, you could say the same with, bottled water or, keep some food around in case we have, Texas went through, that was a tough thing with them with that.
Sure.
They didn't have heat. People like with the cars with the new outlets nowadays, where they have plug-in outlet in the car, that was a lifesaver for charging phones and little, you make coffee or little they're running extension cords from their driveways into their homes.
But how long does that battery last? I mean, it's only going to last long.
Keep the vehicle running as long as there was fuel
Oh,
in the car.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just idled the cars all day, all night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or you could do like, I'm not going to go there, fly to Mexico.
Oh, right.
Was the
Like one of the
congressman or somebody?
Yeah, that was smart. Gee whiz. And sometimes I like that guy.
But, sometimes we all make dumb decisions.
Yeah, people are freezing and starving and, geez. But that stuff could happen right here, in our area, and people should be prepared for it. We had, this virus thing. We just lived through a lot of that.
We sure did.
Did we live and learn?
Right. Well, let me, on this same vein, this gets my wheels spinning. We live in northern Ohio. On, 50, 75 miles either side of us is a nuclear power plant.
We talked about that earlier.
So something happens and we have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need also to pay attention to, financial papers, things like that we should have at least copies of, so that if we have to bug out for some crazy reason?
I don't think so. Yeah, not, as far as accounts or nothing like that, no.
Okay.
But passports, IDs, wallets, have you heard of a grab bag?
I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's certain things that you need to run with.
Well, depending on the subject,
I'm not talking about one of those survivalist guys.
Yeah, but I am.
Oh, okay.
But not that drastic of a survivalist. I'm talking, if you have a gun, some water, some food, some cash, some clothes, passport or passports nearby, and just for the reason you're talking about.
Sure.
Whatever weird thing, why we'd have to need those things and get out of town. And that's a good example, a nuclear leak, which we could have. Around the area we're broadcasting from now, we have one of the largest train yards in the country, I think, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's been evacuated yet, but train yards have been evacuated and surrounding miles of train yards.
Sure.
When the chemicals catch on fire or there's a chemical leak, and it's another reason. They come, the sheriff comes, you're gone. I mean, they want you out right now. You don't have a choice. So having a grab bag, grab and go, and then go wherever you got to go, you have these things pre-packed in there. Supply of medicine, right, for, a few days, maybe if you're on medicine, or contacts, glasses, whatever. The same, we go offshore fishing when we go back and forth to Florida in the wintertime.
Okay.
And they call that, or maybe I'm using the wrong word, that for the boat it's called a ditch bag.
Okay.
So maybe you could use a ditch bag at home too, who knows. But it's a bag with supplies in it, to where if your boat's going down or you fire on your boat or whatever reason, or you have motors failed, or you have this bag with some supplies in it.
Sure.
That would apply differently to being home and having to leave. But it's just, again, it's part of a family plan. It's simple stuff. Take a few minutes. We had some scares last year with the virus, not being able to leave the homes, and it was an interesting time for some people.
It was. And you remember when in 08, 09, whatever that was, when the banks crashed, and some of the banks, you couldn't get money because it wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and, history tends to repeat itself.
Mm-hmm.
Things are going to go wrong. Companies are going to go out of business. There's going to be natural disasters.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be more viruses.
Sure.
Right? And we know that. There'll be potential wars, potential terrorist attacks. Who knows?
Right.
Potential nuclear leaks. We take our time and do our financial planning and get our houses in order, our financial houses. A lot of people forget about what I've talked about this show. And last show with, watching your pennies,
Mm-hmm.
Trying to save money on everything we do and, not pay full price and all that. But yet how people are doing it in the housing market now, paying top buck for a house and, paying top buck for a used car when they're not supposed to be.
Right.
Or going from cash into the stock market when it's at all-time highs. So they live their life trying to save money and do the right thing, and then they mess up by doing the wrong thing with these big purchases.
Sure.
So, and then back to the cash and ditch bag type stuff, just might as well cover all bases and
Sure.
just, give yourself peace of mind, and if something goes wrong, you've planned for it.
Sure. Well, friends, this is one of the things that Wayne helps you do. We've talked a lot of different topics throughout the months and years that Wayne has been doing this program. But a financial plan, and as you've heard especially on these last two programs, entails the family and all of the plan. I mean, if you can go to let me just use my vernacular, go to a broker and buy and sell stocks or whatever, and Wayne can help you do that, but it's not a plan. I mean, it's part of the plan.
It's just a small piece of the plan.
But it's not the plan. And one of the things that Wayne helps your family do is to put together a plan that makes sense for your family. Your family plan is going to look a lot different than my family plan or the guy next door's family plan, because we all have different families, we have different concerns, we have different priorities. And Wayne will help you put together that plan that makes sense for you. Pick up the phone and call his office at 866-626-3990, 866-626-3990, and visit his website at todaysretirees.com. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Visit todaysretirees.com or call 866-626-3990 to schedule a no-cost appointment with Wayne. Today's Retirees is brought to you by Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management, family-focused retirement and tax planning services, anchored in family values. Information and opinions discussed on Today's Retirees do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station. Opinions expressed should not be substituted for individualized consultation with a qualified financial advisor. For specific information, call 866-626-3990 or visit todaysretirees.com.